A Maple Grove officer continues to recover after he was dragged during a traffic stop in November. The suspect was charged, but the union representing the police say the charges don't go far enough. The incident happened at midnight on November 13th. The criminal complaint says officers pulled over 40-year-old Daniel Rudolph on Weaver Lake Road and 83rd Way for having tinted windows and failing to signal. Officers learned that Rudolph had a suspended license and saw an open container of alcohol inside his Ford Escape. Police had Rudolph exit the vehicle to perform a field sobriety test, but Rudolph ran back to his car and tried to drive away. Officer Brandon Gross grabbed onto Rudolph, at which point Rudolph allegedly pinned the officer's arm inside the vehicle and dragged him. After being dragged 40 yards, Officer Gross freed himself as the vehicle sped away. Rudolph, however, was captured the next day, and the Hennepin County Attorney's Office charged him with obstructing the legal process and fleeing a peace officer. Both are felonies. He faces a maximum sentence of 8 years if convicted on both counts. However, the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association wanted Rudolph charged with assault. In a release today, the union said this charging decision represents an alarming trend from the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, where violent offenders are not being charged or undercharged with crimes. Officer Gross, meanwhile, has since returned to work, but the union says he has lingering pain and swollen, inflamed ligaments in his shoulder from being dragged. We have requested a statement from the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. Many consumer products on the market contain so-called forever chemicals. They're also in many city water supplies. Removing these chemicals is an expensive prospect. Kevin Miller spoke with 2 cities about their future plans for forever chemicals and water treatment.
And the water comes in right here.
Employees at the Maple Grove water treatment plant work hard to provide clean drinking water.
We're a 30 million gallon a day treatment plant.
But like many water treatment plants in the state, they don't have equipment to remove forever chemicals. Also known as PFAS, they're man-made chemicals that don't break down in the environment.
They call it the forever chemical for a reason. It is a chemical that has been around for since the 40s and 50s.
They're in common household products, shampoo, carpet, nonstick pans. If you name it and it has plastic components in it, those are PFAS chemicals.
Although these chemicals are common, the EPA says exposure may cause health issues.
PFAS can be linked to causing some cancers.
In many cities, small amounts of these chemicals have been found in the water supply.
We did have some results come in positive. The water is absolutely safe to drink.
We've had 2 sample tests done so far, and yes, we've had some slight detections of PFAS in some of our water wells.
Meanwhile, 3M, a PFAS manufacturer, is facing a class action lawsuit for water contamination. They expect to pay more than $10 billion in a settlement. DuPont also has a $1 billion settlement. As a result, local cities might get a payout.
My approximation was about $7 million for just the 3M settlement.
We think it could be in the $5 to $6 million range. We would hold on to that money and consider using that for treatment options.
There's no guarantee that the money will filter down to local cities, and if it does, it won't cover the total cost of the equipment to remove PFAS.
It could cost upwards of $70 million. No city can afford this all by themselves without doubling or tripling their water rates, and we did nothing wrong.
So, more lawsuits may be on the horizon.
We're going to explore options to try to recover more funds through litigation.
But in lieu of state or federal grants, cities may have to decide if they want to pay more for their water treatment. It's an expensive ask for our most essential resource.
As staff, we recommend a treat down to 0 because we want the water to be as completely safe as possible for our residents and businesses.
Kevin Miller, CCX News.
This week, students nationwide are celebrating the Hour of Code. At one Osseo area school, it's just another day helping kids discover science. Reporter Emily Haugen takes you to Weaver Lake Elementary for this week's School Spotlight.
There's over 100 million students that have tried something to do with Hour of Code. You are part of that 100 million.
A typical day at Weaver Lake often involves some kind of code.
One of the 8 STEM identities that we have is problem solver, and coding has a lot to do with solving problems. The computer is doing what you've told it to do. The coder has to find the bug.
Curriculum coordinator Melissa Pedersen says it's part of the school's STEM-based approach.
We start with our science standards and then build everything around that.
Today, third graders are working with Edison robots.
Your first job today is going to see if you can get the bot to move by clapping at it.
But work with robots actually begins in kindergarten. Eventually,
You gotta get closer, you can't hear you.
students work their way up
You see how it works?
to creating their own code.
The lesson is more about kids discovering opposed to me telling kids what to do and how to do it.
And there's something for everyone.
It's really fun. It's like kind of different than any other school.
It's the challenge of science
It's hard for me, and then it challenges me.
that comes with built-in encouragement.
Oh, did it avoid your leg? Oh, that was cool.
Pedersen says it gives students the confidence to excel inside
It has to be taller than the bot.
and outside the classroom.
Oh, interesting, ladies.
At Weaver Lake Elementary, Emily Haugen, CCX News.
Perpich students are putting final touches on a performance that took all semester to create.
We all come together to dance and to choreograph. So the process of choreographing is very much like a community thing. It's not just like one person's just like spewing out stuff. It's more of just like, hey, how do you feel about this? Is this okay?
Dancers who are students at Perpich come from all corners of the state for this performance called Sense of Place. The title refers to the hometowns of the dancers and the sense of place that dancers find in the studio.
It's very versatile. We have a lot of like upbeat jazz, and then we have like a lot of slower, more modern movement. So I think there's a lot of diversity in the dance.
The show runs on Thursday and Friday evening, and tickets are free. Find out more on Perpich's website. We'll leave you with more from the show.
Tutino Grace boys basketball has won state Class 3A titles 2 years in a row. This year's Eagles team opened the season with a tough opponent, facing Hopkins on the road.
Veteran coaches Nick Carroll and Ken Novak Jr. meeting in this one. First game of the year for Tutino. Hopkins came in at 1-0. Sophomore Tian Chapman pulls up on the baseline and hits the short jump shot to put the Eagles up 8-5. 17 points in the night for Chapman. Midway through the first half, Dothan Ajatambola knocks down a three-pointer. The Eagles have their biggest lead at 8, 21-13. Hopkins would rally. Anthony Smith drives the lane and kicks the ball out to the corner to an open Trey Moore for a three. The Royals are back to within one. Jaden Moore triggers the break here. Great pass ahead to Smith for the lay-in. Smith with 14 first-half points. Hopkins leads by 1 at halftime. Tutino's Isaiah Johnson had a huge game. The senior forward dunks home 2 here early in the second half. Eagles up by 4. More of Hopkins came up big in the second half, netting 14 of his team-high 18 points after halftime, converting there on the long J.J. Semenko pass. And this game, as expected, stays close. But the Eagles, after taking a lead early in the second half, don't give it up. Johnson nets 31 points in the night. Tutino Grace wins 79-75. Both teams will play in the Tip-Off Classic at Hopkins on Saturday.
The Osseo girls basketball team had to work overtime in their season opener. Jay Wilcox has highlights.
The Osseo girls basketball team opening the season at home against Fridley. The Orioles go into Novea Torma for the nice up and under move and an early lead. They get the steal and Jalen Choi speeds up court for the layup plus a foul. This game's tied 23-23 at halftime. Second half, and Brandy Washington pops a three on her way to a 17-point game for Fridley. They surge to a 38-31 lead. But Choi leads Osseo back. The step-back three is the first of 2 in a row. It's 49-49. Choi scores 19 on the night. The Fridley three is way short, but Sophia Jensen is in the right place for the hoop, and the Tigers lead 59-57 with just over a minute left. Josiah White falls but gets the pass away, and Araya Mitchell sinks the baseline jumper to tie it late 59-all, and the game goes to overtime. Down 2 late, Choi drives and misses, but Tashea Anderson gets the putback to even the score again at 63-63. And with less than a second to play, Anderson gets a friendly bounce on a free throw as Osseo takes a thriller 64-63. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
Two of the top teams in Northwest Suburban Conference girls hockey faced off Tuesday night, and it was a good one as Maple Grove hosted Champlin Park Coon Rapids.
The Crimson skating for their 6th win of the season, taking on CPCR. It's the Bluebirds striking first. Sydney Bernovic passes to Lily McKenzie, who shot a stop, but Bernovic gets to the puck and knocks the rebound in. It's 1-0 Champlin Park Coon Rapids. Later in the first, and the Crimson answer. Great pass from Grace Erickson right to the stick of Hadley Bacher, who buries the shot. It's a 1-1 game through 1 period. First minute of the second period, Maple Grove's Bella Shipley steals the puck deep in the Bluebird zone, passes to Erickson, who shoots and scores. The Crimson are in front 2-1. The next one is all Shipley, picking up the loose puck in the neutral zone and then snapping a shot between the defenders and past the goalie and in. It's the 6th goal of the season for the senior. She would later add another. CPCR gets one back before the end of the period. Callie Alphen skates in. Danny Strom with the save, but the puck comes to Alphen, who scores on a rebound. It's a 3-2 game after 2. Third period, and crisp passes here from Maple Grove. Maddie Elfstrand to Erickson, and she feeds Kelsey Olson down low for the quick shot and goal. Maple Grove goes on to win 5-3. The Crimson are now 6-1 on the season. The Bluebirds fall to 6-2. John Jacobson, CCX Sports.